Sometimes the world seems to run faster than our own steps, but there are moments, rare, delicate, in which something silent touches our shoulders, as if an ancient wind called us back to the center. It's like walking into a forest after rain. The humid air, the light filtered between the leaves, and the feeling that there is an invisible law guiding everything, even what we don't understand. A law that does not require force or dispute, just presence. Maybe you felt this when you watch the water go around rocks without losing its shape, direction, or when you notice how a leaf falls without resistance, finding the ground that welcomes it. It is in this simple, almost imperceptible gesture that a profound truth reveals itself, that who does not fight triumphs, that which does not harden remains. What doesn't resist flows, and it is from this flow that the silent triumph that the spirit has known since ancient times is born. Immemorial, a kind of ancestral wisdom which cannot be explained in words but recognizes with the whole body, as if the days finally stopped being heavy and just begin to pass by, light, transparent, left to their own course. As we walk through life, we accumulate tensions like stones in our pockets, expectations, fears, rigid goals, certainties that imprison us more than they protect. And the tighter we squeeze these stones, the more they seem to pull us towards low. But when we open our hands and allow the path to lead us, surprising thing happens. The world stops being a battlefield and becomes a river that knows where it goes, even without maps. A river that wins, not because it disputes, but because it does not oppose. A river that always finds a way to move forward. If you feel somewhere deep down that there is a subtle force guiding your days, a strength that requires less effort and more delivery, then this video is for you. Why today? We will walk together along the banks of this ancient law, present in everything we breathe, the law that makes you triumph without resistance. Take a deep breath. The path opens when the heart is silent. If these words already resonate within you, let this moment accompany you, and stay with me on this journey. Because sometimes it only takes one step to realize that victory is not in the fight, but in the way we surrender to the flow that calls us. There is an ancient wisdom that hides in the way water touches the world. She doesn't force, do not demand, do not dispute. It just moves. And in that movement it wins. If you observe carefully, you will realize that softness is not weakness. It is intelligence. The water. It doesn't break the stone. It transforms it. Not because you fight it, but because you remain faithful to your own way of being. Softness is the strength of living things. The rigid belongs to what no longer breathes. And we, when we become too hard, lose part of this life that circulates, silent, of all things. The wind passes between the leaves without hurting them. Moss grows in the shade without haste. The light the morning does not invade. She lays down on what she finds. All this teaches us without words that there is a broader path than that of resistance, the path of flow. But in the modern world, we have almost forgotten this. We live like rocks trying to be rivers, tense, hurried, hardened by the need to control each outcome. We try to hold on to life with closed hands, and the more we close, the less it fits. We want exact direction, we want to predict, we want to anticipate. And this want constantly exhausts us. Rigidity is born from fear. Softness comes from confidence. And maybe that's why so many of us feel tired. Not from life itself, but for the way we swim against it. Every attempt to control the inevitable becomes a current that pulls us deeper. Every rigid thought becomes a thorn in the road. Every unyielding expectation, a stone on your shoulders. But there is another way. A way that does not require strength, but presence. Does not require mastery, but listen. That's when we realize that just as water doesn't decide where the valley should go, we too can follow without the need to impose. And the most surprising thing is that when we let go of resistance, life begins to fall into line. In a mysterious way, things seem to find their place. The paths that before seemed closed open. Internal tensions begin to dissolve like fog sun. If this idea resonates with you even slightly, it is a sign that something inside is already there. Awakened, the part that remembers that there is a natural flow and that we can allow it carry us. At its core, gentleness is not just a spiritual principle. It is a return to what has always been we went before fear. And when we understand softness, we begin to realize another secret law, that of acting only when the path calls us, and never before. There is an almost imperceptible moment when the river decides to change direction. He doesn't think, doesn't calculate, doesn't plan. Just find a bend, touch the bank, and follow. Without resistance, no rush. It's like AS, and know that the true path is not born from strength, but silent adaptation to the terrain. And there is a law there, a law as old as the world itself. The action that arises from the center is always more powerful than any forced effort. When we try to act too soon, we create friction. When we try to control the course of life, it hardens around us. And this is not because the universe is cruel, but because all unnecessary interference generates turbulence. Imagine plucking a flower before it be ready to bloom, or try to push the wind in the desired direction. All of this puts us in opposition to what is already naturally working. This happens when we insist on controlling time, people, results. We create anxiety, we create exhaustion, we create a weight that doesn't need to exist. Oh, the modern world seems to have turned forcing into a virtue. More productivity, more speed, more goals. But no river advances because it pushes itself. He advances because he gives in to his own course. Right action arises from inner silence. It is born when we stop pressuring the moment to be something it is not. It arises when we take a deep breath and listen to what the heart, without noise, is trying to say. Following the natural path does not mean passivity. It means acting only when the flow push, when the soil is fertile, when the opportunity is ripe. It's like the seed that breaks the earth exactly at the moment the season calls it. Never before, never after. And it's curious to notice how, when we act this way, everything seems to fall into place. The decisions are, make it lighter. Obstacles seem less aggressive. The meetings take place at right time, and even losses, once so frightening, begin to reveal a meaning which only shows itself to those who do not try to master the course of life. When we stop fighting what is, the inner space opens up, breathing deepens, the mind clears, and the path previously hidden begins to reveal itself to few, like light piercing the fog. Acting without forcing is trusting that the terrain knows more than our fears, and that life, when left to take its course, always finds the sea. And it is at this point that we discover another silent law, that true triumph comes when we stop fighting for what never needed to be won. There is a discreet strength in the bamboo that bends in the wind. He doesn't fight, he doesn't toughen up, he doesn't face the storm like someone who needs to prove something. He just bows, and because it bows, it remains. By observing this gesture, we discover a profound truth. Victory does not belong to the one who pushes, but to the one who finds his place within the movement of the world. What disputes wears out. What resists fragments. What tries to dominate space loses its own clarity. But what flows, that wins. We live in a time where competition has been transformed into identity. Comparisons, metrics, urgency, the incessant need to prove value. And the more we try to shine for others, but we dim the light we should shine for ourselves. Inside, it's like trying to hold the sun in your hands. The more you squeeze, the more it escapes. Through your fingers. Triumphing without competing means abandoning the inner war we wage to be seen, approved, or recognized. It means letting go of the armor we carry as if the world was always asking us to fight for a place. But the truth is different. What is its does not require confrontation. What is yours finds you in the silence. And there is a gentle wisdom in this. The breeze that comes through the window does not compete with the air that already exists. It is there. It just blends. The morning light does not compete with the night, just arrive at right time. So too is the victory that is born of the Spirit. It does not need to destroy anything, just revealing what was always ready to emerge. When we stop fighting life, we begin to walk with it. And this walking brings a peace that will never be achieved by the root of dispute. When we stop to prove something to the world, we open space to prove something to ourselves, that we are capable of existing without tension, of advancing without conflict, of flourishing without crushing. If so far any part of this idea has resonated with you, this is a sign that the journey internal has already begun, and that softness is opening up space where there was once rigidity. See, if this vision resonates in your heart, it's because something in you is already breaking through the shell and emerging into a lighter way of walking. To triumph without disputing is to trust that life does not require war to grant victory. It only requires presence, attention, and honesty with yourself. And when we understand this, we discover the next law, that of silent adaptation, which allows us to transform any path into a possible passage. When we observe water resting in a container, we realize a truth simple and extraordinary. It takes the form of its host, but does not lose its essence. In cold weather, it becomes ice. In heat, it turns into vapor. In fall, it rains. In thuitude, becomes a mirror. Water changes infinite times without ceasing to be itself. And in this ability to transform oneself without resistance, there is one of the most profound laws of silent triumph. Life asks us to adapt all the time. Relationships change, directions change, plans that we believed were solid change, and yet instead of flowing, many of we try to return to our previous form, as if it were possible to relive what has already happened. But nature never goes back. It bends, transmutes, dissolves, is reborn, always in the movement, never in rigidity. Silent adaptation is not conformity. It is spiritual intelligence. It's feeling when a door no longer wants to be opened, when a cycle has already been completed, when a choice needs to be welcomed instead of fought. It's like the fog that, upon encountering a mountain, do not try to cross it by force. It slides around, disperses, changes density, and so on. The fog doesn't waste time struggling with the impossible. It finds another way. But we humans, accustomed to control, insist on pushing walls, on maintaining what no longer lives, in preserving forms that no longer fit us. And this attachment to what was creates suffering. We create resistance where there should be surrender. We create fight where it should there is a curve. We create tension where the spirit asks only for movement. However, when we allow adaptation to happen in silence, something realigns behind us. Inside, the body relaxes, the mind calms down, the heart becomes wider, and life, mysteriously, it opens up paths that previously seemed non-existent. It's as if the universe responds immediately to the gesture of flexibility, showing that everything can change when we change. Inside, flexibility is not giving up. It's knowing when to stay and when to transform. It's honoring the natural flow of things without clinging to old forms for fear of emptiness. Because in deep down, each change is just life rearranging itself to take us to a place that we don't know yet. Silent adaptation is the art of moving without noise. And precisely for this reason, it is what transforms everything. And when we learn to change without losing our essence, we discover another profound law of the fertile void, where all renewal begins. There is a moment in the night when silence seems to expand the world. That's when the wind diminishes, the lights go out, and only the sky remains, vast, intact, breathing over us. At that moment, we realize something that we often forget. Emptiness is not absence, is space. And every space holds power. Just as the cave echoes because is hollow, and the jar is only useful because of what is not there, also our soul finds clarity when it opens into stillness. We live surrounded by excesses, thoughts that accumulate like dust, desires that overlap like voices, responsibilities that pile up until they suffocate. And without realize, we carry much more than we need. But everything that grows without space squirms. Everything that receives too much is lost. Even light, when too intense, blinds. The fertile void is the opposite of this. It is the silent terrain where life can finally sprout. However, we fear emptiness. We fear silence. We fear pause. We fear interval between one path and another. We prefer distraction, haste, noise, as if noise ensures security. But all of nature shows us the opposite. It is in the range of winter when the earth recovers itself. It is at the new moon that the sky resets itself. It is at low tide that the ocean breathes. Likewise, the spirit needs this space. And it is in this space that our greater transformations, when we stop filling every second, when we let go demands, when we allow tiredness to dissolve without guilt, something blossoms. One fine, delicate clarity, almost invisible, but powerful, as if the silence were he indeed an ancient master pointing out paths. The fertile void is not giving up on life. It is rest within it. It's not an escape from the world. It's alignment with what matters. It is not renunciation. It's preparation. When we open internal space, we allow the new to find us. We allow the intuition speaks again. We allow the heart to reorganize its landscapes. And we realize that many of our anxieties were just excess. Excess of wanting, of fearing, of control. Creating space is an act of spiritual purification. It is to return to the body the lightness it knows. It is to return to the heart the natural vibration that the modern world has stifled. It is give the spirit back the right to breathe. And when that happens, we are reborn inside, not because we fight, but because we finally allow it. And it is precisely from this silent space that the next law emerges. Trust in the invisible, that subtle force that guides our steps even when we don't see the path. There is a force that guides everything that lives, but that we rarely realize. She doesn't, it announces. It doesn't make noise. It doesn't demand belief. Just act, discreet as the changing breeze of direction without us noticing. Present like perfume, I'm far from a flower that doesn't we see. Constant as the pulse of the earth beneath our feet. This is the strength of the invisible, the silent breath that organizes what seems to be chaos and guides what we think is lost. Trust in the invisible arises when we understand that not everything can, or should, be understood. Life has its own rhythms, its own gestures, its own curves, and trying to anticipate her every move is like trying to measure the wind with your hands. How much? The more we try to grab it, the more it escapes. The future has always been a nebulous field, and this is precisely why walking in it requires faith, not the blind faith of passive waiting, but the sensitive faith of someone who knows how to listen. Just as birds find routes during migration without maps, so do we carry an internal compass. She doesn't speak in words, speaks through sensations. It's the one gentle grip that says, "Don't go this way." It's that quiet expansion that says, "Yes, this is the way." It is the presentiment that arrives before the thought. It's the whisper that precedes the decision. And when we learn to listen, we realize that this compass is rarely wrong. But in the modern world, we have lost the habit of listening. We live under pressure expectations, fear of the unknown, anxiety about what has not yet come. We want guarantees. We want control. We want the security of a complete map before giving the first step. And that's where suffering is born, in an attempt to light the entire path when the light of life only reveals the next meter. Trusting the invisible is walking softly, knowing that the next step will reveal itself only when the current one is given. It is accepting that the universe has an intelligence that exceeds ours. It is realizing that, behind the delays, there is protection. Behind the detours, there is redirection. Behind the losses, there is room for rebirth. And when we finally let go of the fear of the unknown, something extraordinary happens. The path begins to cooperate with us. People appear at the right time. Opportunities align. Situations harmonize, as if everything responded to the peaceful vibration of who trusts. Trust in the invisible is not naive hope. It is ancestral wisdom. It is recognizing that the visible world is just a thin layer on top of something much larger. And when that trust blossoms, there is only one last crossing left, transforming all of this into a way of living, a closure that is actually a new beginning. At the end of every path, there is always a moment of silence. A point where the past dissolves like fog and the future has not yet formed. It is in this in-between, in this space subtle where time seems to hesitate, that we finally understand. Nothing that really matters requires strength. Nothing that is true is born from dispute. Nothing that is sacred is reveals in the noise. The law that makes you triumph without resistance is not a formula, nor a hidden secret in old books. It is in the breath that comes and goes effortlessly. It's in the water goes around rocks without losing movement. It is in the bamboo that bends and therefore does not bend, breaks. It's in you every time you choose to rest instead of harden, to listen to instead of imposing, flowing instead of fighting. When we let life take its course, we discover a direction that does not come from the thought but of the spirit, a gentle, intimate, almost invisible direction, like a light that appears behind the mountains before dawn, a light that doesn't press, just invites. And when we accept this invitation, we realize that triumph is not in control but in alignment. To triumph without resistance is to walk like the river, advancing not because it pushes but because allows. It's trusting that each detour is part of the journey. It is accepting that each change is a master. It is realizing that silence, far from being empty, is the space where life creates. And when we finally surrender to this flow, something reorganizes within us. The body softens, the mind expands, the heart finds a slower, fuller rhythm, more true. It's as if, when we stop fighting, we can finally hear the music that has always been playing in the background, an ancient melody that calls us by name. Now, as this video comes to an end, let these words echo within you how the waves echo when they touch the sand. Don't try to grab them. Don't try to understand them too much. Just allow them to find their right place within your spirit. If you want to continue walking along these inner paths, breathing each teaching as someone who listens to the voice of their own soul, sign up, so we continue together, step by step, along the silent path that leads back to the center. And remember, what we call destiny is not always a distant event. At some times, it is just the whisper of the kami who have accompanied us since birth, guiding our steps without us noticing.